Just moments ago, the president invoked national security in his reason for signing the $1.3 trillion spending bill, vowing that our military will be the strongest ever. Defense stocks rallying on this. He also tapped former ambassador and Fox News contributor John Bolton as his new and third national security advisor. Bolton is known for having hawkish positions on Iran and North Korea. And earlier today, he told Stuart Varney this.
I think my view is the same as the president's, which he's described as the worst deal in American diplomatic history. The issue for any deal like this is, are you really solving the problem, or are you just simply making people feel good while a country like Iran violates its commitments?
Well, the president had kind words for his outgoing national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, tweeting, "I am very thankful for the service of General McMaster, who has done an outstanding job and will always remain my friend." Joining me now, Fox News senior strategic analyst, General Jack Keane. What do you make of all of this, General?
Well, I think what's the hardest thing about government, and particularly executive branch, is everybody starts a job that they've never had before on the same day. And now the president's a year plus into his job. And I think he understands the presidency now. He understands his role. He knows what he's bringing to the table, what strengths and what weaknesses. And he kind of knows what he wants from his staff and also from his cabinet officials. That's why he's making these changes, because he knows what he wants.
What seems like chaos in the White House is really just growing pains, and now he's got the team in place that he wants.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think he's finished yet, but he's pretty. And I think when I look at Mike Pompeo over at State, and Kudlow in as economic advisor, and John Bolton, all three of these people I know and I have great respect for them. They're going to fit right like a hand in a glove with what the president's thinking. They won't agree with him on everything, and I don't think the president necessarily wants that. But he clearly wants someone who's going to get right behind his agenda and support it. And, if you spend so much time around these people, you kind of want to like them as well.
Yeah, let's talk about John Bolton, because he's known as being a military action type of guy, definitely hawkish when it comes to foreign policy. He'll start officially in April, which is interesting because in May, the president is expected to decide the fate of the Iran nuclear deal, and he's also expected to meet with the leader of North Korea. How do you think John Bolton will affect any of those decisions and meetings?
Well, first of all, Bolton agrees with the president's national security strategy. We're in a returning to a big power competition again with Russia, China, Iran, rogue state like North Korea, who's nuclearizing ICBMs and threatening the American people. So Bolton's approach to that, as is the president's approach, is to stand up to it, not to confront it. All of those countries we're talking about, not to appease these countries as the previous administration has done, which has weakened the relationship that our allies have with each other and also with us, and it's emboldened our adversaries. So if you want the diplomatic situation to work effectively, our adversary has to know that we're at least willing to use a military option if it's necessary. And that's what the president has been trying to convince Kim Jong-un of for a year plus now. Yes, I'm imposing economic sanctions on you, but I'm also willing to use a military option if those sanctions fail. And I think Bolton will come in and reinforce that very solidly, along with the rest of the national security team.
He just, in the end of February, wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal basically saying talking doesn't work. The title of this article was "The Legal Case for Striking North Korea First." So we know who's in charge here and what we're playing with. The other issue, and this is something Mr. Bolton certainly knows, is that North Korea often makes you think they're willing to negotiate when really they're just trying to buy themselves time to further develop or hide their weapons.
Well, that certainly has been the pattern for 25 years. Yeah. In other words, they go into negotiations, they buy some time, they advance their technology, and they get concessions. We don't know for sure whether these negotiations are sincere or they're phony like the others. But we're going to find out here pretty quick.
And what about Russia? It seems like Mr. Bolton and the president have Trump has been criticized for appeasing or overlooking some of the things that Russia does. And it seems Mr. Bolton would have a more hard line on Russia.
I think so. Most of us take a harder line dealing with Russia than the president has on all of these issues. And now he has stood up to Russia, to be sure. He's providing lethal aid to the Ukrainians, something the previous administration never did. Mm-hmm. He struck Assad's air power 36 hours after they used chemical weapons, and those chemical weapons had tacit approval of the Russians in doing that, who's a client state of Russia. And clearly, we're now sanctioning Russia. But I agree. I think where the president is in his head with this thing, I think it's a mistake to think he's soft on Russia, because I don't buy that. Mm-hmm. I think what he believes himself is that he's itching to get into the room with Putin. And the reason for that is he knows that Putin has manipulated his three predecessors quite successfully. And I think he believes that I've dealt with people like this before. I know where he's coming from. I know he's a thug and a bully, but I'm not going to say that publicly because I don't want to forfeit my ability to have a real conversation with this guy. I think that's where the president's head really is, and we'll see.
Well put. General Keane, thank you very much.